We're taking a blind leap of faith here. We're joined by a MMA stalwart and renowned fighter, Dee Begley, who's just about to fly out, Dee, for a new venture.
A new venture, yeah.
It's great to meet you first and foremost, and you're welcome to the podcast. Talk to us a little bit about what's coming up.
So I'm making my professional boxing debut in Detroit on the night of knockouts. So I'm fighting a girl called Savannah Tinney, and I'm really excited about it. I've been training here in O'Rourke's gym for the last 5 weeks, getting ready for it, and my gym, SBG, is right next door. So again, I do have that MMA background. I've been doing it for the last 8 years. I'm no stranger to boxing either. I had an amateur boxing career. I started boxing in UCC in 2012, and I have 2 university titles at Elite. National titles, and I fought in the Haringey Box Cup. I fought the Irish universities versus English universities.
And you're a stablemate of our great pal Sinead Kavanagh as well. So you're well versed in the squared circle.
Well used to those heavy shots, head movement. You have to be on point. Sinead striking. Exactly.
We love you, Sinead. We're not bitching. Trust me.
Absolutely. No, she's a phenomenal inspiration even in the sport itself. Great character, great buzz around the gym when Sinead's there, and just a great training partner overall. She I've never actually been injured by Sinead, which is huge.
You're one of a few, so
thank you, Sinead. Let's keep that going.
But Dee, just talk a little bit, and we're very conscious that we're not MMA experts. We're not going to claim to be. But there is a crossover, and a big part of it, I suppose. And you're coming here, you've got the best of both worlds. You've got SBG, who are top of they're just cream of the crop in terms of MMA world. But you're also now in O'Rourke's gym. Ryan is deep in camp, John is deep in camp, and you're working under the watchful eye of the coach himself and Stephen. You're really in good hands.
Yeah.
How does it feel now having a good camp behind you, and you're about to fly out during the week? You're all set?
Yeah, all set. I'm really, really confident about this. Stephen's been able to get me some phenomenal training, sparring partners, training with the likes of with Ryan and John, who've such a phenomenal professional boxing career. Both unbeaten, and training hard. It's kind of like you can't but not show up and put in the work when you see.
There's no corner, nowhere to hide.
There's nowhere to hide from it, and when you put in the work, then of course you're going to walk into the ring with confidence, knowing that you couldn't have done any more, you couldn't have worked any harder, you didn't miss any sessions, and going in injury free is huge. I'm really, really excited for it, and it's just something different, challenge myself, get out of my comfort zone, mix things up. I've been a bit unfortunate with my last couple of MMA fights, so it's like, let's work on where the holes are. I have to now focus on getting in with my reach, not being over reliant like in MMA on my lead leg. So now it's all about handwork, head movement, at the highest level, professional debut, like why not?
There's the obvious differences between MMA and boxing. One is a squared circle, one is a cage.
Yeah.
Then there's all the real intricacies of the transitions, the different disciplines and everything else. I'm not even going to try that. I suppose for the fan on the couch that's going to be watching, that would be a casual fight fan. Can you talk to us about when you get to this part of camp and you get to this part of preparation, what would be the little things that people don't see? Or is it a case of when you've had one camp, you've had them all and you're able to taper at this stage and prepare? Is it a mental side of things? What are the most things for a fighter as you go from MMA to boxing?
Yeah, so I suppose for casual fight fans, everyone's asking, am I nervous? And, up until now, it's like I had one job to do, and that was get my training camp done, get it out of the way today. I finished my last session, and that's it. Like, that's what I was focused on. I was like, let's get through camp. Let's, put in the hardest, toughest camp I can, be as fit as possible, which I've done. So now it's about just getting on that plane, right? So I'm going home to pack. So that's the most
That's not done yet.
No, that's the most important thing, and then once I arrive there, it's just, focused, tunnel vision on that fight. Went over a game plan this morning, a little bit with Stephen, and I have with my coach Reg, who's coming over, and John and Dave. Like, they know my style, we know what we're doing. I'm going in the fittest I am, so it's just sticking to the game plan, sticking to it and staying focused, staying sharp. And just walking in the best shape I possibly can, the best headspace I can, which I feel like I am.
And listen, there's a danger at the moment. There was that and the boxing scene in Ireland. We've seen Belfast fighters, and there's always that intricacies between the north and the south fighters. And I think there's a danger at the moment of the Cork lads taking over the scene. You know, and I noticed I didn't want to risk guessing what part because I've got it wrong.
Cork persons from Cork is like they'll tell you.
I've got it spectacularly wrong a few times. I've guessed Limerick, and it's been Clare. I've guessed Clare, and it's been so. But listen, it's the fight scene. Spike, our good friend Spike, was carrying, I suppose, the mantle of boxing for a long time. He's a character and a half. Yeah, go ahead.
When I was in UCC, obviously I would have been like preparing for kickboxing fights, and I was in the sauna one day, and I had my sweatsuit on because I had a competition that weekend, so I had to make weight. And this fella came in, and he was asking me, he's like, "Oh, like, are you a boxer or whatever?" And I was telling him about my thing. About my competition coming up, and he was like, "Oh, I box a bit myself," and I was like, "Oh, that's really, really cool." I was like, "Are you like a semi-pro or a professional?" And he's like, "Oh no, I'm professional." And then like I was kind of sitting there, then I looked at him, and I was like, "Oh my God, I know who you are." I was like, "It's Spike," and so we had a great chat, and he's an absolute legend. And I've met him another time at an awards, but he followed me on Twitter afterwards. I followed him back or whatever, but yeah, absolute legend and again, you know, real inspiration as a Cork person as well. You know, seeing what
we won't massage his ego a lot too much because Spike O'Sullivan doesn't need his ego massaged too much. He's larger than life as it is. But you're right, he's been a huge, I suppose, catalyst for Irish boxing over the years when there wasn't as many doing it. But I suppose he's inspired you. What I wanted to get to Dee as well is, and it's a huge thing. We've seen the impetus of Katie Taylor. She's been a huge inspiration to young girls, young females around the country. But now it's on the shoulders of your likes of yourself. It's on the likes of Sinead. Not saying that you're taking over from her, but you're showing at another level that it can be done in MMA, that it can be done. Listen, it can be done in anything. Those days are gone, and we've shared a few stories off air here about fellas of a different era who don't belong in this era. It's a special time, isn't it? It's an exciting time. We've seen Kelly Harrington doing it recently. It's exciting. And do you ever feel that? Is there a pressure with it? Is there an onus? Or is it just you're just doing it as you do it?
I'm doing it as I do it, and I feel like in like, you know, modern times now, you know, female fighters are really, really celebrated. And it's like you mentioned, the likes of Kelly Harrington going away, winning, you know, 2 Olympic golds in style, and, you know, just being, you know, the character and kind of the inspiration that she is, and, you know, taking over, you know, that mantle from Katie Taylor, and also Katie going off, you know, with her professional boxing career and being so successful, and showing that like you can make a career out of it. It's not, you know, it really is. I feel female fighters are celebrated more than anything, and especially, you know, in MMA, and now again in boxing. Maybe boxing was a little bit more behind, you know, with the MMA, because the MMA we had, like, you know, Ronda Rousey, you know, she was a massive one. Again, like Kayla Harrison is another one. Sinead Kavanagh is a huge, you know, first Irish female fighter to headline a card in the 3 Arena, you know, on Bellator. On one leg, you know what?
We're coming, Sinead. We're going to find you. I just missed you this morning, but we'll get you the next time.
Yeah, so like that, and I kind of want to be that. I want to be a role model to younger girls, you know, just to say, like, you can, you know, pursue your passion. Like, I was asked at 16 in school, it's like, what's your dream job? What do you want to do when you finish school? And I was like, oh, I'd love to fight for a living. And back then it wasn't an option, so we pursued all other things, went to college, whatever. But if you'd asked, like, 16-year-old Dee, like, you know, is that gonna, I would have said not a chance. And here I am. Look, I'm not where I want to be. I'm still on my way up. I'm still, you know, I have another, you know, 7 good years at least.
You've got that look in your eye that there's no one's going to stop you now. You're here now. You're here. The last thing I'll say to you, Dee, is I suppose, as a fighter, you tend not to look too far ahead, especially in boxing, because the boxing world, you just don't know what's coming. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes you just don't know. But are we going to see a transition, or is it just a case of keeping busy for the time being? Can you answer that one?
I can't really answer that. Well, I can. Like, I just want it, again, it is a bit about activity, staying busy. You know, I didn't want to be waiting around until next year to have, you know, another fight. And again, there are holes in my MMA game. So, you know, let's use this as an opportunity to right some of them, to tidy up my boxing. And I am, like, a really, really good boxer. So why not, you know, lean into my strengths again? You know, I came from a striking background. Let's focus on that for a while and, you know, see what opportunities might come up. You know, go out to Detroit now, you know, put on a performance, get a big win. You know, I'm being brought into her hometown. You know, they've vastly underestimated me as an opponent if they think she's getting an easy win. Like, it's not happening. I'm walking out of Detroit, coming home with a big win.
If they think Detroit is bad, well, they haven't seen Cork. They don't know what's coming.
They don't know. So, yeah, and already, like, I've gotten a few messages from people in Detroit, like, you know, supporting me, being like, we're really pulling for you and all this. So I am just really, really excited to go over and, you know, all this work the last 5 or 6 weeks with Stephen, you know, really just putting that on show and showing how, you know, how good of a boxer I am, how I am, like, you know, again, a well-rounded fighter. You know, I can do it anywhere, but you know, on the highest level, I want to be able to show that.
Well, listen, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. It's been first of many, I hope. We'll be watching closely. We'll be looking closely. Keep in touch.
Yeah,
we'll definitely and dying to see where this goes from here. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.